What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 384 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. KB, my ventriloquist puppet over here, known as Big Diesel. And Hoots back at it again, not with the white vans. We got a fun one on deck for you guys. Deej is going to recap everything that went down in Chicago for us. The fact that Scotty Royster was giving Lonzo Ball lacrosse pointers is the most hysterical thing ever, and I can't wait for the life book on Scotty Royster. PLL Fairfield is this weekend. Deej and I finally at a weekend again together for the first time since Philly. One of our favorite weekends of the year. It's Indigenous Heritage Weekend as well. We'll preview all of the games on deck for the second straight neutral site game of the season, and then we will dish out our picks, and we will send you on your way into another PLL weekend. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. We did surpass 1,700 followers on Twitter. We're getting right there. 300 some odd more. And 42 more subscribers on the OTB YouTube channel. You guys get that duck merch. Just saying. Keep following us on the socials, though, at OTB LaxPod. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sports Media. Follow DJ at SCS_next great. Follow me at KBICCL311. And you can follow this week's Photography Avenger of the season. We have him back for a second game already. I'm very excited to have him back with us because we had him in a limited capacity the last time. Follow our guy Ryan Tessier at RJ Clipped That on Instagram. He'll be photographing for us this weekend in Fairfield. Subscribe to the pod, subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It does go a long way for helping this show continue to grow, helps more people find OTB, plus all of our shows on the network. And I just want to give a heads up to everybody. I remember, what was it, a couple months ago, Deej, we had to archive a bunch of our episodes for just the stupidest reasons ever. I went and tested to unarchive one of them. And I don't know how it will pop up on the podcast feed because I immediately archived it again. It shows up as a new episode. So if you guys over the next couple of weeks, if we start releasing these and you see old episodes popping up in your feed, apologies. It's going to drive my OCD absolutely insane that we have episode 194 right after 384. But we're going to try to soft release them a little bit and see if we're good to go on the front with releasing the old episodes. But just want to give a heads up there. So if you guys do see anything on your podcast app of choice there, don't be alarmed. Plus, if you're an Apple Podcast user, you can favorite the Underground Sports Philadelphia channel, which if you are following along with that, there is a new show added to that. Yes, we announced a new podcast on our network on Underground Sports Philadelphia last night with the man, the myth, the legend, Pat Pitts. Now has his very own wrestling show called The House Show with Pat Pitts, airing every Friday on its very own YouTube channel and its own podcast feed. Would mean a lot to all of us if you go and subscribe to that as well. It's a very fun project that I am very much looking forward to. Deej is very excited about it from just the brain that Pat Pitts has and what this project can do for him. And I mean, it's going to be pure chaos, and I'm so excited for it. You can follow that on the socials as well at Official House Show. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia and Outside the Box podcast YouTube channels as well. YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. We're 15 subscribers away from our next subscriber milestone. And if you tuned into our Home Run Derby live stream on Monday, we said if we get to 1,100 subscribers, we'll release Moonshot Mania merchandise. So 15 more of you subscribe. That gets sent over to our awesome merch partners. So keep subscribing. The Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channels where you get full video episodes of this show every single week, full video episodes of damn near every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. And subscribe to the OTB YouTube channel. We're 42 subscribers away from you guys unlocking the OTB College Show with Deej and Hoots for the 2026 season. And this show, guys, is proudly presented by our awesome pals at Rita's in Sewell, New Jersey. Guys, we love Rita's. I truly am just hooked on Rita's this summer. I love that I've just been like, yeah, I'm going to go to Rita's after work. I'm going to treat myself. Rita's is the best place to keep yourself cool during this hot summer we've been having. Check out all of their incredible flavors. My new summer go-to has been the mango Italian ice coupled with the orange cream custard. It is just delightful. So damn good. You can go to ritazice.com and see their entire lineup of flavors. I believe it's July 28th. They are bringing back the gummy bear Italian ice flavor. So that is coming out of the archives for Rita's. Plus, you can see all of the nutritional facts for your favorite treats on their website as well. But visit our friends at 288 Egg Harbor Road in Sewell, New Jersey, and let them know that OTB sent you. And we thank Rita's in Sewell for being a proud partner of the podcast. What's poppin', boys? Deej, you were in Summertime Shy this past weekend for the PLL events. We had a street lacrosse game on a boat, Lonzo Ball and Taco Fall popping up. Nat was in the building as well. And we had quite the turnout in terms of attendance and in terms of just spectacular games this past weekend. But Deej, give us the overall just vibe that was PLL Chicago, because from my perspective, and I'm sure I'm speaking for Hoots here, seeing it on TV, it just looked absolutely incredible.
You could feel the energy buzzing through the area. It wasn't even just the field and the stadium. It was the surrounding area. Everyone who was there was just excited to be there, and they were happy that the PLL was back. The Midwest enjoys lacrosse so much, and we're starved of it. A great example was the way, who was it? I think it was the guys from Philly. When I asked a lot of the players and coaches afterward, how it felt to play in an area that isn't as much of a hotbed as, the East Coast and some of the other areas that they go to. And a lot of them were like, in some of those other places, it's not necessarily just another lacrosse game, but they see and play so much lacrosse that it's like, we'll have another opportunity. It's not like this thing we have to go to. Whereas when you're in a place like this, everyone who wants to come is going to come because they don't get these opportunities all the time. And you could feel that in the arena. Granted, gonna be honest, like they had an entire section, shut off, but they easily could have sold it out if they would have had it open. Every seat that they did have open and available was taken. And it was loud in there. I mean, especially during the Redwoods and Chaos game, there were, let's go Redwood chants again. There was defense chants. There was let's go Chaos. There was eruption for goals and good defensive plays. The energy for both teams was high. And that wasn't just that game. That was every game. There you could see people latched on to teams because of their favorite players or whatever the case were. And they really showed that, hey, we want a team here. And since we don't, we're just going to take one and ride with it, whoever it was. So it was really fun just to see the energy in the building and realize I have been advocating for the right group of people to want a professional lacrosse team, because they showed up again, for the fourth time now that it's been in this area. You had 2 times in Chicago and 2 times in Columbus, and you had sellouts in both times for both cities, and the people showed out.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it our guy Mike Rabel when he said like Chicago's a lacrosse city or lacrosse town. I forget what word he used, but
Yeah,
um, I was like, I'll never forget you telling Deej and I that you wanted to go back to Chicago. You just had to find the right venue, find the right time, and damn, did you? And he said 100p. That's Mike Rabel's new phrase is 100p, because then I saw him commenting that on so many like Instagram responses too, and I was like, oh, he's making this a thing. I dig it. It looked awesome optically, like on TV. I mean, both days, I mean, were sold out, which is awesome. And I think in a multitude of ways, like the games delivered in like different facets. Like, were they all close, down to the wire games? No, but each game had its own unique like aspect to it that made Chicago like one of those like tentpole weekends this year that we've talked about, like Charlotte and Philly being that we talked about. uh you know just as the seasons progress, like we're gonna look back on the season and be like, yo, that was like a milestone. Like Chicago delivered in so many different ways, um and it was very impressive. I think my only critique from Chicago weekend was the drone camera on the broadcast. Not ideal. Drones are good for B-roll. They're good for like those wide angle shots that are still shots. I don't need to be following around with lacrosse plays, no less, with a drone. Um, Whoever greenlit that idea, I like the thought process. The approach was not ideal because boy did I feel queasy.
Before I let Hoots hop in, the scenery was fantastic. I forgot to mention that, like Lake Michigan being in the back, and that stadium, the colors, the way it fit, with really everyone's jerseys and everything. It was beautifully put together. I think having Throwback weekend there, and then pairing that with street lacrosse, boat lacrosse, and Hall of Fame weekend was all the more reason why people decided to show out. Um, and it was a great place to do it. I think the history of lacrosse there isn't necessarily talked about enough. So having these kind of weekends kind of draws those conversations out for a place like this. And then on the piece of the drone footage, it would have been great for like clearing. Like, okay, make a save, pick it up off the end line, go to the drone footage as they're clearing from one end to the other. Then you go back to a normal view once they're in the offensive end. Coming back from breaks or going to breaks would be a nice time to go to drone footage. And like maybe even power play. I wouldn't have minded that either because it's kind of set in this one place. And you can have the drone footage over and you can see how the ball moves from up top. You can see how the defense is moving, etc. But other than that, and highlights, drone footage for highlights probably would have been pretty cool too. But like you said, during the midst of play and kind of just trying to follow the ball and see where things are going at play. And it's at like player level, I think was also the problem for some of that. Like if you're following some of the play at a little bit higher level, it might not be as bad as being a few feet above their head.
And I'm not even blaming the PLL for it, because to me that's an ESPN decision more so than anything. So like I don't even think like could the PLL have like agreed to sign off on it? Yes, but I also think it was an idea proposed by ESPN, and like no slight to ESPN, it was just like the execution of the idea was not fully like processed, in my opinion.
It seemed very pilot program like oh, let's try this out and see like what it looks like, and then like we can tinker with it and pull it out again at another time.
It kind of felt like when like kids open up a present and it's like those little helicopters and they just start flying, they start hitting walls. Like that's kind of what it felt like at times. I love the innovation. Like there's some potential there, but there was one, I think in the first game that like I had to look away because it was like tilting and the ball was going the opposite direction, and like it was a bit much for me. But I also wanted to add too. Someone that I know that was there said they heard that they also oversold the event and opened up extra seating. So like that one side where there's like the one section, he said he heard that they took down sponsorships to fill that. So that's also a good sign too if there's any validity to that, because that means that there could potentially be more fans that could have even went in there. So
That
And I
is
know
100% true for day 2 for sure. Because some of the sponsorships that were up on day 2 or on day 1 were not there on day 2 and were replaced by people in seats.
And I know I tweeted like a quote from Stags after their game saying like when he said like we don't need a team here to draw crowds like this. I think some people may have misinterpreted just because it was a written text and not hearing how Stags like delivered that. He was basically saying like, yeah, there's no team here, but look at the crowd.
Yeah.
Like the crowd popped out, like the fans showed up, and I think that was like the overwhelming response from every press conference when it was asked about like coming to Chicago. Like everyone was like we've had like moments where guys are like thrilled to be in a different market and everything. Everybody was like, you could hear it in their voice and like their tone of voice. They were like very happy to be playing in Chicago.
Yeah, actually every player said like they had never seen that many kids in a tunnel before. They were like, it literally was just like a monstrous sea of kids. Like, they're like, there was no way to like high five all of them or give them autographs. Like, it was just so many of them. He was like, and that's like the fun in being a professional athlete is coming to experiences like this. He's like, yeah, there's lots of kids on the East Coast or like out in Denver and stuff, but like this was a different level.
And I mean, that picture of Michael Sowers walking out of the locker room alone, just like personified, like how many people were there and just like how many kids were there and just like excited to be there. And like that photo, like whoever got that was on one because that shot, like Michael Sowers should have that framed in his house. That's how sick of a picture that was.
Such a great shot. And I mean, great planning by the PLL and you know everyone involved. There were multiple tournaments in the area / in the city this past weekend. Having night games made it to where these families could go and experience their tournament. Kids are playing in it. They have time to shower, and then they can make it to the game and enjoy 2 games, then go back and rest before doing it. And then it was on Friday. The first night's Friday, so a lot of players and families are already coming in on Friday. So they hit the games on Friday, hit the hay, go and play on Saturday, enjoy 2 more games, and they have championship Sunday. Like, it's a perfect weekend for a lacrosse family if you plan it right. And I think the PLL did a great job in planning this weekend.
Couldn't agree more. You can let us know if you were in Chicago. You can leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod, or drop a comment in the comment section. Let's put a wrap up on these games. Our Chicago wrap up brought to you by our friends over at Buff. Guys, it's hot outside. If you're going outside for walks, runs, hikes, whatever it may be, you got to protect your head, your face, your body from the sun. Buff is the place to do it. They've got you covered for all of every single season, every single type of weather. They've got the buffs available for you. They've got the protective headwear for you, from the baseball caps that have the UV protection, which is pivotal this time of year. Use our link in the description to shop with our friends at Buff. That way they know you're coming from us. Check out all of their buffs, all of their headwear to make sure you are protected this summer season from that sun, because as we all know, that sun can be vicious no matter where you are. So protect yourself with our friends at Buff, and we thank Buff for being a proud partner of OTB. The games were pretty wild. The New York Atlas take down the Boston Cannons 17-11 on ESPN2 to kick off the weekend. The Water Dogs come out triumphant, put a 16-piece on the Archers and win 16-11. The Carolina Chaos come out victorious 12-10 over the California Redwoods, and the Denver Outlaws remain the hottest team in the PLL as their win streak continues, and they take down the Whipsnakes 13-6. DG, you were in the building for most of these games. What was your ultimate takeaway from everything you witnessed with your own 2 eyes in person, and just like overall from the singularity factor of this being a neutral weekend for the first time this year?
Oh, the only thing I missed was the New York Boston game. But I mean, watching it on ESPN probably would have been no different than being there in person. I probably just would have felt the energy of Boston kind of being taken away a little bit more, but it was kind of just pure dominance from Atlas from beginning to end. They got off to a nice lead and kind of maintained that for most of the game before, Boston made a late surge, and the Atlas were able to close them out. I don't think I would have had much to say about that game in person, but then I saw the rest of them in person. The Philly game started off the same way. A lot of really good energy for the Dogs, and it looked like they were kind of going to run away for a while. Then slowly the Archers creeped back in. But I think the bigger story is the one everybody's been talking about is the lack of just offensive production for the Archers. It wasn't even a scenario where the Water Dogs defense played really well. They gave up a lot of really good shots. Actually, like shots the Archers are looking for. The Archers couldn't hit the net. Literally, that was it. They lost by 5. Dylan Ward made 4 saves. That's bad. Anytime a goalie makes 4 saves in a game, you should probably win. And
Not probably.
Yeah.
You most certainly should be winning.
He should get pulled and you should win. Like that's how that should go. And it just didn't. So I think the Archers have a lot of questions to ask. And it's weird because it's like, it's not like their offense doesn't have any fluidity. It's not like their offense isn't creating shots. They just can't can them. And they can't get more than 2 guys to have a decent day. You got a really good day from Trey Leclerc. I want to check this to make
Sam
sure
King.
I'm right. And I thought it was Sam King, but I wanted to be sure. It's Sam King and Trey Leclerc give you really good days, but then everyone else, 1 point. Like, sure, if it's really spread out, but you only got like 3 or 4 people giving you 1 point, it's not going to help you. If you're going to be spread out like that, you got to have 6, 7, 8 guys giving you a point, plus your 2 guys giving you 3, 4 a night. Like, that's how you win in the PLL. The Archers just haven't had that this year. They've had that pretty much every other year, and this year they just haven't had that, kind of just forcing their defense to play really well, which they have for the most part, and they just couldn't do it this weekend. And you could kind of see that from the very beginning. I'll leave the Redwoods game for last. The Denver game was very similar to the Atlas game. Denver came out from the very beginning, and they decided that they were going to win the game. And they played tough. They were able to neutralize the middle of the field enough for it to not be a big deal that Nardella was winning at the stripe. They played really good defense in that 32-second shot clock and forcing a lot of bad shots and turnovers there to get opportunities back in that 52, and they were canning them. I think it really helped that they got a good game out of Brennan O'Neill. I think the better he plays, the better that offense goes. Jarrett Bernhardt also continuing to do his part. So this team is slowly coming together, and the offense is really becoming a generating force. But I think a lot of it goes back to Logan McNaney going into net back in week 3. That change doesn't happen. I think you're looking at a very different season for the Outlaws. So I think a little bit more respect needs to be thrown to him. But the offense definitely had a more typical game than what we're looking for. The worst game of the week, if you ask me. The Redwoods have a closing out problem. They're 2-4 this year. And I asked this in the presser afterward. And their 2 wins, they had to come from behind in the fourth quarter. And their 4 losses this year, they've had the lead in the fourth quarter. I do not know what that's about. They attribute it to just saying we have to be able to play a full 48 minutes, which sounds just like a very cliche coach player, that's what you're supposed to do answer, instead of a true, like, we don't have a real veteran leader on the offensive end. We don't have a real veteran leader on this team, to be honest. And maybe that's our problem, is we have to figure out how to win. We have to figure out how to compete in this league, and we have to allow our veterans to learn how to be veterans because they're all still young. Like, I think that's the reality of the situation. That's obviously outside looking in. But I mean, what else is there to explain how you have these 2-3 goal leads in multiple fourth quarters in a row and you can't close it out?
Yeah. I'll just say one person on this podcast picked the Chaos to win. How you doing?
Here he goes.
I went 3-1 last week though, so I ain't sure.
Same. That I've been chasing that high since week 1.
Man, listen.
I just want to let it be known, Chaos admin, I was in your corner. I picked the boys to get the dub. I had no malicious intent over here.
I had no malicious intent either. Everybody know I'm rocking with the Woods till the wheels fall off. So even in a game they ain't supposed to win, I'm picking them anyway.
I think my big takeaway were like I think everyone's focus right now is obviously like the Archers and the Whipsnakes. I tweeted and then the league put it out too. Like 2 teams that were in the championship last year and last place in their respective conferences, and I think that's a big distracting point. That we're not paying enough attention to the Cannons are a little kind of like wonky right now. Like everyone's eyes are fixated on the Archers, rightfully so. Like they're the 2-time defending champs. Their offense is all out of whack. The Whipsnakes, they're an institution of the PLL. We're in the championship last year, but theirs is a little more understandable. There's some growing pains. There's some turnover, changing of the guard type stuff that makes it more understandable on their front. The Cannons, though, I'm just saying, we were talking before we started recording, too. I know Kirsty did not have the best game in goal for them. I said it during that game. That Cannons defense was leaving him out to dry. And I understand it's the Atlas offense. I understand you have Jeff Teat, you have Shelley, you have Xander, you have all these pieces. But my goodness, that defense was getting torched and just leaving Kirsty on an island by himself trying to like solve the Da Vinci Code, because it was one shot after the next. They certainly have a problem at the stripe and getting possessions, because they're an offense that you get them more possessions, they're going to succeed. Zach Tucci, all the power to him. Like he's been able to, find a way to be in this league for multiple years, but he is evidently on the bottom of the tier list of face-off athletes, and that's not a disrespectful thing to him. It's just he's not one of the elite guys. He's not having a most improved player season like Stathicus is having. Like there's levels to the face-off, and right now the Cannons aren't getting possessions. Defenses are defending Asher Nolting in a way he's never seen before, to where he's got to be in distributor mode more often than he is in goal scoring mode, and that's taking away from the Cannons offense. Marcus has had games this year where he hasn't gotten the ball, I think, nearly enough to where he's had opportunities to shoot. And I mean, you're going to have growing pains with Coulter Mackesy being in the lineup. He's a rookie. Like, that's bound to happen. Like, he hasn't looked terrible, but he's finding his way. And the defense has just been underwhelming. And I understand, like, they're still kind of figuring things out. They have a new defensive coordinator from last year after Kyle Hartzell stepped down and, kind of switching things up there schematically. But if that defense keeps leaving Kirsty on an island like that, it's going to expose a lot of the holes in Kirsty's game. And it's not that he's a bad goalie by any means, but if you leave a goalie consistently one-on-one like that, there's a higher chance they're going to be made out to look way worse than they actually are. And I think it's like one of those things where you got to put a little bit of chips on the table of being like, are the Cannons legit? Like, yes, they have the talent to do it, but like, are we not paying enough attention to like them being as inconsistent as they have been all year?
Yeah, and I mean, offensively, like they share the ball really well, like
Yes.
pretty evenly. I'm almost wondering if at some point they have to say this is too evenly shared. Like it makes me think honestly back to like when Pat Cav started touching the ball 50 times, and at the time I was like, I don't understand this. Like you got to share the ball. They start winning, and I just feel like Boston's offense right now is it's it's not literally stagnant, but it feels stagnant to where they just kind of reach a point where it's like this is what you're getting. And then, like you said, when the defense isn't doing anything to combat that, like you're toast. Like, I mean, the fact that the Atlas doubled up Boston on ground balls, that to me is kind of like an effort kind of thing. Naturally, you're gonna have some go the other team's way, but if your offense isn't clicking well in the first half, especially, they only had 3 goals, and your defense isn't stopping anyone, leaving Kirst out on an island. Like, you got to put some effort forward somewhere else. And I just didn't feel like they did that at all until it was far too late.
They were down by 8 at halftime. It was 11-3 at halftime.
And that's 2 games in a row now that, you go from 3-1 to 3-3, and
you go from having a positive score differential to a negative score differential.
Yep, and it doesn't get any easier this week against Denver. So they got to figure something out, and it has to be more than just, we have to double down on our systems and play our game, because clearly that's not working.
And on top of that, like the Cannons, like they've been inconsistent more often than people want to like kind of like accredit that to being a thing. Don't Deej, what have we said for years on this show? Don't count out who? Jim Stagnita. Yep. And if the Cannons keep being as inconsistent as they are, they could fuck around and miss the playoffs. Because not only do they have the worst score differential now in the Eastern Conference, the Whipsnakes have essentially a +10 on them, because the Whipsnakes are a +5, Cannons are a -5, and they're only 1 game behind them in the standings. And they still have to play each other one more time. We all remember the last time these two teams played. Came down to the wire in Baltimore. And that was no pun intended, by the way, for all the Baltimore people out there saying the wire. But, I mean, it's not out of the question that if the Whipsnakes figure out whatever, puzzle pieces have to fit into that offense, their defense has played well enough. They have Joe Nardella, that if they keep it close enough down the stretch, they could find themselves in 3rd place and making the playoffs over the Boston Cannons this year. Like, that's not out of the question.
No, it's not. And I think the other thing with Boston is they just need other people to start initiating. Mm-hmm. A lot of their offense has been run through Asher in the past and this year. And it's just not the case with the way he's being defended now. You have to get somebody else to help out. And they're just not getting that at the moment. And I think that's really slowed their offense down to an immense level. Matt Campbell's obviously helped, but you need more than one person.
And I know they signed Jules, and he's making his debut this week, so we'll see if that helps kind of just like switch some things up in the midfield a little bit and give them a little bit of a different look. And we'll see what Jules can bring to the table in that offense. But, yeah, I mean, we need to not necessarily push the panic button like some people are doing with the Whips, with the Archers, with the Redwoods. But the Cannons need a little bit more eyes on, like, hey, this team is very Jekyll and Hyde this year, and they're slipping up a lot more often than people are willing to give them credit. And I think it's a lot of that pent up just like continuity of like, hey, the Cannons are always good. They're a team that's always going to make the playoffs. That's just what they do. Right now, I can't necessarily like cash in on that belief that like, hey, the Cannons are going to be a playoff team. Like, that's a lock. Like, I just, they look far different than the top 3 teams in the PLL right now, being the Atlas, the Outlaws, and the Water Dogs. Like, those 3 teams are kind of a clear cut above, and then the Cannons are behind them. But I definitely think it's something to pay attention to this week. As like you said, Hoots, it does not get easier because they play the aforementioned Denver Outlaws. We would be foolish to not mention on this show, talking about that Water Dogs and Archers game. Shout out to the boy, Kieran McCardle, 500 career points. Couldn't be more proud of that guy. Deej, we've been in Kieran's corner since day one of us being co-hosts on this show. And Kieran is a guy who has recognized that from us, which is just absolutely stupid. For him to do that in a press conference at Gillette Stadium a few years ago was wild. And he has just been like wildly supportive of us. And I was thrilled, that Kieran hit that milestone.
In style, too.
In like no look pass to assist a Jack Hanna goal. And on top of that, it is lunacy that Kieran McCardle is the only player in pro lacrosse to be the all-time leading point scorer for two franchises. And this weekend, Deej, while we're on the sidelines, Saturday Night Lacrosse, Kieran has a chance to score his 200th point in a Water Dogs uniform, which is like he'd be the all-time leading scorer for the launch and the Water Dogs, while both of those records are 200-plus points.
That's an insane career. And I mean, he's earned every single bit of it. He's just a great guy. And it shows on the field from how hard he works to just how hard he celebrates his teammates. He really doesn't care how it happens. He just wants a W to go on the board at the end of the day. Whether he has 0 points or 6 points, whether he has 2 ground balls or 8 ground balls, he just wants to do his part for the day and celebrate his teammates for doing theirs.
And who'd say the line? He's never been a what?
I'm going to be honest.
He's
never been a PLL All-Star. Sorry. I forgot I tweeted that the other day, too. I jumped on the train, and you said that. I was like, what are we talking about
here? But congratulations to Kieran. And I couldn't help but damn near piss myself when Bill Tierney said, and look at how much he's learned, because Kieran thanked his wife first and foremost for all of her support and being there from point number 1 to point number 500. And Bill Tierney said, a man who thanks his wife is a smart man.
Yes, he is.
And I also I don't know how well it came across in the room, Deej. I asked Connor Kelly and Bill what they've learned from Kieran, and just hearing how Connor Kelly just spoke glowingly about playing with Kieran and their friendship and everything. That was really cool to hear from CK, because they obviously played together in the NLL as well. Talked about how they've been roommates this whole year with the Water Dogs, and it was really cool to kind of hear CK break down how important and pivotal Kieran has been to that locker room and being a leader on that team. And I mean, that's a huge win for the Water Dogs. That's a game against a team traditionally. Water Dogs Archers is a 1-goal game. It's a battle. It's gritty. And the Water Dogs went on a 9-0 run in this game. And I think that's also part of the issue with the offense for the Archers is it's not that they're not scoring, it's they go on those droughts of not scoring. It's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-minute droughts. And from the end of the first quarter all the way through to damn near the end of the second quarter, the Water Dogs just controlled time of possession. They controlled just the pace of the game. And on top of that, they hit their first 2 2-pointers of the season. Before that first one that Ben Weyer canned, they were 0 for 25 shooting on 2-pointers this year. And then they finally hit them with Ben Weyer and Connor Kelly. And it was just a complete win there. And I mean, Sam King got hot, at the right time for the Archers, put up 4 on his own. And outside of that, it was a great win for the Water Dogs. They were up 11-4 at halftime. They come away with a 16-11 win. And I think this was one of the things, too, that I feel like going into Chicago, I don't know how you guys felt about it. It felt like everyone was like Atlas Outlaws, like they're the creme de la creme of the league right now, and people weren't talking about the Water Dogs for whatever reason. And I'm looking at this totally unbiased. Just I was curious, like why are they not mentioning the Water Dogs in this when everyone's saying Michael Sowers is the MVP frontrunner? You have guys like Kieran, like Jake Taylor, who's been phenomenal for them this year as a rookie. They've had great defense. The rookies have stepped up in a big way for them, and nobody's talking about them being in that upper echelon. I think this was a game that like woke people up to the fact like, oh, the Water Dogs are legit. Like they are a team that's going to compete. They're going to be, battling down to the wire, whether it's in Minnesota, Philadelphia, or North Jersey. Like this is a team that's going to potentially find its way to another championship if everything goes right for them. And they're doing it without CJ Kirst. He'll obviously make his debut this weekend, but I think this was the game that like really opened everyone's eyes to being like, oh yeah, the Water Dogs are also like in that upper echelon of the league, which like they kind of have been all year. They've had one slip up game, which was that game against the Atlas, in my opinion, which is their worst game of the year. Outside of that, like the Denver game, it wasn't great, but it was also the second game of their homecoming weekend. You could tell they were exhausted. I don't really like put much credence into that game in terms of like grading them this year. Their lone like flub game was against the Atlas, and it was a bazillion degrees in Baltimore. But other than that, they've been fantastic. And Alex Stathakis has been the most improved player in the PLL by far. Like that dude has been a man on a mission and continues to just dominate at the stripe. And he's going to have an awesome test this weekend against Joe Nardella. And I'm excited for that. Like to just see those two go at it for the second time this year and see how Stathakis just continues to improve, because it's been a week over week thing. He's just gotten better and better and better. And it's a big reason why the Water Dogs are so competitive and in that upper echelon this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's given them the ball. And that's the thing. You can't win a lacrosse game without the ball. You got to win faceoffs. You got to win ground balls. You got to take care of it. Clear the ball well. Win the turnover battle. These are all things that every lacrosse team and every lacrosse coach knows and pushes hard. So it's no surprise that the Water Dogs are having success with Stathakis having, such a good season. I don't think people are talking about the Water Dogs because, they lost to Atlas. Like, I think that's the only difference is they're not at the top of the East. If they're at the top of the East, they would be all of the talk. I do think it's started to heat up a little bit more. Sowers is playing well enough. And you're getting the good play from Stathakis. So as long as the defense continues to play well, they'll be in the talks. And people will see. Like, honestly, I think being in the talks early season / midseason isn't as big of a deal. Mm-hmm. You want to be in the talks weeks 8, 9, and 10, because that's when people are really looking at the playoffs in a full picture and going, okay, these are the teams we think have a true shot. And I think, when we get to week 9, week 10, people are going to be looking at Philly as a true contender.
Which on top of that too, like the score differential, I was looking at it at halftime of that game and I was like, oh, Atlas put up, a 6-point win over the Cannons, and the way things were going with that 9-0 run, and they were up by 7 at halftime, I think it was. I was like, Water Dogs might fuck around and be in first place by the end of this weekend if things keep going this way. And then Sam King said, not so fast, you hydro pups. But still, nonetheless, a great win. Water Dogs get a plus goal differential coming out of the weekend and remain in second place in the Eastern Conference. You touched on California really well. Impressive win for Carolina. Ross Scott, y'all better learn who Ross Scott is. That's all I gotta say. Because that boy is a certified hooper, and it's been evident in the games that the Chaos offense has gotten Ross Scott going. They've won convincingly. Every time Ross Scott has had one of these type of games, Chaos have gone on to win in convincing fashion. Now, granted, this game was a lot closer than the first time, that Ross Scott got hot, but I feel like this should kind of be a signal to Roy Colsey and the offense to be like, hey, let's get the ball in Ross Scott's stick a little bit more, because when it's there, he's making magic happen. And that dude had the game of his life this past weekend in Chicago. And truly, like, he and Blaze carried them to victory with their performances. Justin Inacio is phenomenal again for them at the stripe. He's really helped turn their season around. And I mean, Ray Dirth has been really good for them. You know, we've talked about that Chaos short stick D midi unit. Ray Dirth has been a shining star for them in a room and a unit of true like uncertainty for most of this season. And that's a credit to Colsey and Spencer Ford being like, yeah, we trust this kid to be, you know, part of this unit. And he's a guy that can compete in the PLL. And he's been a game changer for them over the past like 3 weeks, I'd say. He's really like come on and come into his own. And Deej, I guess their draft class really didn't suck.
No, it didn't. And I don't appreciate being cut off before I could finish my question, but he did answer my question in full, so I guess it's okay.
I mean, Owen Hiltz was awesome again. Cross Ferrara was awesome. And I think it's no coincidence, too. Like, Ross Scott gets involved, but also, like, I asked Ross and Colsey about this. Like, feels like whenever Josh Zawada's in the lineup, like, this Chaos offense, they tick and they hum and they go. And he feels like a true cat. Like, Zawada's not going to put up a gazillion points for you. That's not the type of player he is. But just the little things that he does and just his presence out there, I feel like makes everyone else around him that much more comfortable. And it's been evident, you know, when he's out there, the Chaos offense looks a lot more like level-headed and calm versus sporadic and just like kind of running around like a chicken with its head cut off. And on top of that, like the defense just continues to play out of their minds. Like Jack Rowlett is a defensive player of the year candidate for sure. Troy Ray is an LSM of the year candidate for sure. And that's been a huge part of why they've been successful. They've been able to anchor that back end, and it gives their young, inexperienced as a group offense the opportunity to go out and kind of like make those growing pain mistakes, because they're like, we got you on the back end. Now just go do your job. And that's been huge for them. And now they're 3-3. Obviously, their score differential is still a big time issue in terms of like tiebreakers and stuff. But as it sits right now, Chaos would be a playoff team.
And it helps when your goalie's going basically 70%.
Yes.
I mean,
and
especially on 18 saves, like he's getting peppered, and it just doesn't matter.
He almost 5x Dylan Ward saves. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's actually insanity.
Like he 4.5 times the amount of saves that Dylan Ward made. And on top of that, too, I think the weird aspect of this game, too, you know, it's like one of those like what if kind of things. But when you look at the summary of like scoring and everything, the Redwoods outscored Chaos in the 2-point category 2-0, but the Chaos outscored the Redwoods in the 1-point goal category 12-6.
That's actually a wild stat.
So, like, the 2-pointers certainly helped the Redwoods stay alive in this game, but you take them out, Chaos doubled up the Redwoods in terms of 1-point production, which we do have a voicemail this week that I want to bring up here, and you guys can leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. That voicemail line is always open, so you can call us during games, you can call us during the week, whatever it may be, and we'll react to your voicemails on the show. Again, that's speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. We got another voicemail from our guy Josh from the Lost in the Woods podcast.
Hey boys, how we living? It's Josh from the Lost in the Woods podcast, and the woods are reeling. It's tough times right now, but I have a controversial take for you that I would love your opinion on. Should the Woods move Ryder Garnsey? It just seems like he hasn't fit this offense very well, and he's a very, very talented player, and I don't think benching him is the right way to go. Should the Woods just move on and trade him to a contender and give him a shot to potentially win a championship elsewhere? What do you guys think? Appreciate it.
Very fun idea. I'll preface it here. I'll answer it first. Should they? No. Could they? Absolutely. I will not put anything past Joe Spallina in terms of being a GM and what he can do to improve a roster. Should they move him? I do not think so. But could they? If things get out of hand over the next 2 weeks, potentially, I would not be shocked. Where you trade Ryder Garnsey to, there's one place that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. But I don't know. I don't know if I don't like it's the old adage when it comes to it takes two to tango. You got to find that trade partner if you're going to move Ryder Garnsey. I agree that it feels like they don't or aren't using his skill sets in this offense to what we've seen Ryder Garnsey in the past. Deej, I know you said last week it felt like they're almost on purpose, saving him, which at this point it's how much longer you got to wait to save? You're running out of time to save Ryder Garnsey to kind of pop off at this point. But I don't know what a Ryder Garnsey trade package looks like, quite honestly.
It don't exist at all. No, you don't trade him.
I agree with you.
He has a new OC. He's also playing with a lot of young guys. Newsflash, he's the oldest guy in this offense. So yeah, the offense is going to be a little shaky. And with a new OC where they're trying to really focus on ball movement, that's not Ryder's game. We all know how Ryder plays. He's a long possession dodger, just like Connor Fields. He gets it, he dodges for 15 seconds, and all of a sudden he has a shot that nobody else would have gotten. That's Ryder's game as well. It just doesn't quite fit into this offense yet. You have to let it develop, let the time come. When it's time for Ryder's number to be called, it'll be called. The bigger thing here is staying patient with the new OC, staying patient with the offense, and knowing that Ryder will continue to contribute the way that is needed. And when it's time for him to turn up, I think he will. That's my opinion on it. I do think there will be a moment where he will just turn it on and be similar to the old Ryder we're used to, or maybe he'll just be given a little more freedom and time within the offense to do some of those things. Either one of those could be possible, but I don't think trading Ryder is the answer at the moment.
I don't know. I mean, I hear what both of you are saying, and I'm not saying he should be at all, but the team is clearly lost in the woods, all pun intended. So, like you, KB, would it shock me to see them explore it? Not at all. But again, I don't know anyone that's taking him just based on the output. Like, if you're looking at adding him to your offense, you have to really trust that he's either A, going to fit into your system flawlessly, or that he's going to turn back into the Ryder that we all know and love, which he hasn't done all year. So then you're trusting that he can actually do that. And like you, Deej, I don't have any worries that he can do that. I just think it's unfortunate because this is a short season, all things considered. So you need to be patient. But when you only have 10 games, I can see why fans would get antsy and be like, well, something's got to change. But I don't know that Ryder is necessarily the issue there. I mean, even you look at this game that they played, like they had a great first quarter, and the last 3 they weren't good at all on offense. That's not just Ryder. That's everybody. I don't care. Chris Cav finished with 3 points. Like that's on him. That's on Mac. That's on all of them. So I don't think it's worth being like, yeah, let's just scrap it and trade him, especially because, worst comes to worst, if things keep going this way, you get a good draft pick next year, you add to your team, year 2 of a new OT, all of a sudden Ryder feels more comfortable being himself, everyone else can feed off of him, and you're good to go.
Now, just from a pure sports fan who loves trades and trade deadlines, I feel like all of us have a sicko spot in our hearts for that because it's exhilarating. It gets the blood pumping. Here's my devil's advocate for this in the eyes of Trader Joe. Ryder Garnsey's 29, still very much in his prime. He's on an expiring contract. If there is a team out there that would be willing to trade for Ryder, I feel like Spallina's got to at least pick up the phone and listen. Like, it would be malpractice to not listen to see what teams are kind of valuing your player at. And I know, like, where does he fit? I don't know if he fits any of these teams, but I'll give you guys 3. And just in a hypothetical situation, if Trader Joe was to pick up that phone and start pondering, which of these 3 teams do you think makes the most sense if it were to happen? And we're not saying it's I think we're all in agreement. Like, the Redwoods should not trade Ryder Garnsey. But from just a fun little exercise here, I'll give you 3 teams. Number 1, the Utah Archers. Offense has kind of been funky. Mac's been in and out of the lineup with injury. Matt Moore's been injured. Do you go and trade for a Ryder Garnsey to see if you bring somebody else in to kind of get some guys going, give you a little bit of a different look? Next team, I think everyone's obvious point, the Carolina Chaos. Me right now, the way their young core is developing, I don't know if I want to disrupt that and kind of like insert a new piece to where you take a couple steps backwards because you're putting a new piece of the puzzle in where these young guys and this new core is kind of like starting to mesh together quite a bit. And then the last one, the Maryland Whipsnakes.
You want me to answer that for real?
Just have fun. I'm just bringing up 3 teams that like we know have had offensive issues.
You.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, them options suck.
But those are the 3, like...
2 of those, you're a dummy if you trade them inside the Western Conference.
I agree.
And Maryland? You think he wants to put on Maryland colors? Ever?
That's not how trades work.
And he really don't fit the Archers offense because he's basically just Connor Fields, just smaller. Yeah. You can't have him on the opposite side of the field. That's too much, and he's not going to replace Connor Fields. So you're almost trading for him to not play him? Weird.
It also feels like Fieldsy's been playing injured. I've been saying that for...
I mean, there's a possibility. That's definitely a possibility.
But also the Archers hypothetical, like that depends on when the trade would go down. If you're waiting for the deadline, that makes absolutely 0 sense because at that point you're getting a 1-game rental. Unless the Archers are going to make the playoffs, which is still possible, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. Still just a couple game rental.
And like Deej said, trading inside conference, like you'd have to get like a crazy haul to even be like, from Utah's side as well. Like it's, but then also like the young core part of the Carolina thing, I think also applies to Maryland is the issue with that too. Just they've already made a bunch of changes last offseason. Like you kind of got to see that through at least another year. Otherwise it was like a waste of even trying.
I like that.
That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, New York doesn't make any sense. They're already Herbie fully loaded on offense. Same thing with the Water Dogs. Same thing with the Outlaws. So I mean, like, and like the Cannons doesn't really make all that much sense either. So it also like just circles back like who's going to trade for Ryder if you're in that situation too. You know, where does it make sense to move him? Like from a contractual standpoint, like to try to get assets for an expiring contract, it makes sense. But outside of that, if you don't have the dance partner, you can't tango. So,
and also I think teams know that he's already on an expiring deal. Why would I trade you something when I could just sign him in the offseason? Because if they're looking to get off of him, then cool, we'll wait it out. Like,
and the only reason you would do that is if you were to trade for him, like going into Utah weekend, getting multiple games of him to see how he fits your system, fits the guys that are going to be on the roster beyond this year, and kind of get an early look at a guy that you plan on re-signing in the offseason. Fun call, though. I like those. I like those type of calls. And you can leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. And Hoots, I mean, your Denver Outlaws last week popped off, did the damn thing, dominant win. Whipsnakes were all out of sorts. Logan McNaney. Hoots, credit to you. Credit to you, my friend. You believed from day one.
I try to tell folks. All right,
look at Joe Walters.
I try to tell people, and they said I was crazy.
They called him a madman.
Look, all I'm saying is right now, Rookie of the Year race he's clearly winning that if he continues on pace. And you will not deny him discussion in the MVP race as well, and Goalie of the Year race if this continues. So let's just get comfortable with entering him in that conversation is all I got to say about that.
Don't say what they will and won't do because trust me, they definitely
they will have to.
Not to.
They will have to respect it.
They could choose not to. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, if you want to choose to look dumb on my timeline, be my guest. I will gladly repost.
Hey, people do that all the time.
Oh, I know, and I amplify it just so they know they're stupid.
Facts. So that ain't be prepared.
Because Paul be paying me to tweet about the MLL as I was told this week. So
you be getting paid?
Allegedly.
I don't.
Allegedly. But back to the topic. Brandon finally had a Brandon game, which was nice to see. So that's a 4-ton offense. Continues to click. Defensively, I'm just very pleased. Like
they've turned it around.
JT is looking insane, and it sucks that casuals won't see that unless they're watching the games because he doesn't have the numbers. But then if you want numbers, Jake Buccino has been popping off the page every week too. So, the only real competition right now is the Atlas, in my mind.
I'll get in your corner on this with McNaney. Right now, if the season ended today, your goalie of the year finalists should be Blaze Reardon, Brett Dobson, and Logan McNaney.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are on the Liam Entman train, rightfully so. He's had a great year. Right now, he's the only full-time starting goalie that has a save percentage above 60%.
Yep. And the only pushback that I've had is that he's played 2 less games. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so how many dominant games do you have to play before that's enough? If we get to 8 games and everyone else has played 10, I'm sorry, but 60+% is more than enough in my mind. And again, he turned the team's season around. In my mind,
he's made 14 or more saves in every single start this season,
and a lot of them are clean that he's then pushing in transition. That's allowing our transition to succeed. There's a reason Jake Buccino has been so great on the other end of the field, and it starts with a clean save into transition, getting that out.
And his save percentage this season, the lowest it's been is 60%.
Yeah.
He saved 71.4% last against the Whips.
I think a lot of that goes back to the defense, which isn't talked about enough. I think Mike Manley and Jesse Bernhardt had really slow starts to the season. They've really caught up to the tide and have started to do their part a little bit more. JT has always been JT and will always be JT. And then the rope unit has been fantastic. And they're really giving McNaney the shots he wants to see and shots he can see, which makes it a lot easier to save. A goalie can be really good, and you can see a goalie stand out. Like, I think Chase Erlin had a really good game this past weekend and really kind of kept the Woods in that game and bailed them out. We see it with Blaze Reardon time and time again. Brett Thompson and Liam Mentman have done it from time to time where they're just, balling on another level and keeping their team in the game. You're getting that, with McNaney, but it's a lot better when you have a defense in front of you, helping you. So that's really what you're seeing with the Outlaws is a defense that's playing really well and providing a goalie with shots that they want to see, which makes it easy for them to save them.
And I'll say it too, like, we still have not made nearly enough of a big deal about the Zach Geddes offseason signing for the Outlaws. Like, that, by far and away, the most impactful free agent signing of this past offseason. That dude was, you could see the signs last year with Chaos that guy was ready to blossom into a superstar. And now you pair him with Tarafanko. You pair him with Alex Smith, who's been a very awesome, like, B-tier level short stick D-midi. And Zach Geddes has been, I think, beyond as advertised for the Outlaws in year one. And we as a lacrosse community have not made nearly enough of a big deal about how impactful that free agent signing was.
Yeah, he really just improved an already good transition unit and has just made it so much easier on the offense, taking some of the load off to where we don't have to wait for our offense to get something set up every single time. Like those first couple of weeks, it was like everything was slow because it really did rely on the attackman, like doing everything, I felt like. And now, like, having two guys with Geddes and Tarafanko that can actually push the issue every single time is massive.
Yeah, I mean, like, he scored 2 1-point goals so far this year, 1 2-pointer in that opener against the Redwoods. He has 1 assist on the year. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, he's not afraid to shoot now either. I feel like when he was with Chaos, there was limited amount of opportunity for him to score because when he was there, you obviously had Josh Byrne, you had Dane Smith, you had, Chase Frazier, Chris Cloutier, Ian McKay with him as well, who Ian was a Swiss Army machete. So there was limited opportunities for Zach Geddes to, like, show his offensive side and of being that two-way type of player. And now, like, he's just been incredible, and I just want people to appreciate how damn good of a player Zach Geddes is.
I mean, I knew he was going to be good when he got the stamp of approval from Jack Rowlett.
Facts.
When you got a guy like that, as a defender or a short stick D-mid, being on that half of the ball, when a guy like Jack is saying, hey, coach, go get this guy, you're probably going to be pretty good.
And that's an understatement because he's pretty damn really good. But yeah, Chicago was awesome. Shout out to Chicago for showing out for a PLL weekend. And on top of that, like, it was Hall of Fame weekend. Awesome ceremony. I was very thrilled because the past couple of years, Hall of Fame has been in Baltimore, so we've been there to see the ceremony on TV, and how it was produced was really cool. So shout out to the Hall of Fame inductees as well. And our Chicago recap brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, if you want to stand out in the crowd like Josh Balkersell, like Hoots does when he's out there shooting away, rep your favorite lacrosse player's favorite lacrosse podcast with official Outside the Box podcast t-shirts and hoodies available at PHI Apparel Company. Stand out in the crowd. Go to phiapparel.co. Use code underground to get 10% off your next merch order. Again, that's code underground at phiapparel.co, and you'll get 10% off your next merch order. Stand out in the crowd with the official merch partner of the Outside the Box podcast and Underground Sports Philadelphia. Boys, we head to our next neutral site game location this weekend in Fairfield, Connecticut. One of my favorite stops on the PLL calendar each and every year. I think the venue is spectacular. I think the energy in that building is unbelievable. We will always have the Brian Minikis fan zone in Fairfield to remember, even though Brian Minikis is a retired PLL player. That is still just one of the most incredible all-time moments. We will always have Jack Kincannon and Miles Jones yeeting themselves over the boards, and Fairfield just always puts on a show, and I'm excited to get back to Connecticut this weekend. 4 games on deck, each team playing once. It's the New York Atlas and California Redwoods interconference play there on Friday night. Kick things off at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN+. Then we have the rivalry that nobody likes to talk about, but it's a damn good rivalry, the Utah Archers, the Carolina Chaos on ESPN2, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturday, ABC, 3 p.m. Eastern time, we've got the Boston Cannons and the Denver Outlaws. And then we wrap things up on ESPN Plus for Saturday Night Lacrosse, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Maryland Whipsnakes, the Philadelphia Water Dogs, a rematch of their showdown in Carolina. Hoots, I'll start with you. What are you most looking forward to this weekend in Fairfield?
I mean, at a quick glance, I'm hoping to see California play New York pretty tightly. Just with the way their season's going and the way that New York's is going, I would like to see them show some signs of life because I'll get to the pick later on, but you guys understand why. And then the next game, I think I'm really excited to see what happens with Utah against Carolina because Carolina has been very unpredictable this year. Meanwhile, Utah is kind of like this team that on paper is awesome, and they just it hasn't translated, to be frank about it. So, and especially with both Dobson and Blaze being as good as they've been, that's going to be fireworks. My Outlaws, I'm excited to see them play. I still believe in Boston, despite their problems. I do think this is a kind of a prove it game for them, though. If they fail to play well, then we start having to have some serious conversations about them. And then finally, Matt Rambo being back in the lineup for Maryland against Philly. Like you said earlier, Philly's one of the best teams in the league for a reason. CJ Kirsch's debut as well. So, lots to look forward to.
Deej, what are you looking forward to outside of our annual trip to Sally's?
I'm hoping I don't have a heart attack on the field during the Redwoods game. Boston, Denver should be fun. I think both of those offenses have an opportunity to kind of light up. I think, obviously, Denver is looking to just keep their good and winning ways going. Their offense has been electric, and they've been getting a lot of different people involved, so I think they want to continue that. Whereas on the opposite side, the Cannons are looking kind of for that first electric offensive, output of the season. So I think, their eyes are on that, and that's kind of something they're coming into every game looking for. Great opportunity this weekend. I think every weekend that they play is a great opportunity for that. So I'm really excited to see how those two offenses go. Obviously, CJ Kirsch is the headline for the end of the weekend, and the best rivalry on this side of the Mississippi is going down. So that'll be fun to watch. I think we have 4 really great games. I think anytime there's a neutral site and we get all 8 teams playing at once, we get 4 really great games.
Can I just point something out as I've been looking at the schedule here as we break this down? I have one complaint with the schedule makers in the PLL. A very simple complaint. Why is Boston and Denver this week, and why was it not last week for Throwback weekend?
That's fair.
That's my only question. I need to know who put the schedule together and decided, let's have the 2 teams that came from the MLL play against each other the week after Throwback weekend as they wore Throwback uniforms in Chicago.
That's actually a really great question.
I just want to talk. I just want to have a conversation. Who decided that?
Who put that together?
That should be a staple matchup every weekend for Throwback Weekend. Boston, Denver in the Throwback unis. That I think it was just an oversight. I'm not blaming anybody. But moving forward, let's make that be a staple of Throwback Weekend. Boston, Denver have to play each other. That's just easy. That's easy schedule making for everybody right there. Things I'm looking forward to. Number 1, the Brown Redwoods jersey. These Throwback uniforms are awesome. People complaining about them just don't like fun. The logos are amazing. Those logos are so clean and do such an awesome job giving each team a unique look that pays homage to the Indigenous heritage of the game. You don't need new Indigenous heritage logos every year. Those are so good. All you need to do is just change up what the jersey looks like. And every team got a new refresh on what their Indigenous heritage jersey was last year. The Brown Redwoods jersey, I was texting Deej about this, Hoots. The Brown Redwoods jersey may be a top 5 all-time PLL jersey in the rankings now. You know, you have 2019 All-Star, you have the 2021 Chrome throwback to Pink Johns, you have that Boston Cannons throwback that Sierra was wearing. You have those specific ones. This Redwoods jersey, as soon as I see it in person, I'm locking it in that it's going to go down as a top 5 jersey of all time.
I'm not going to lie. Out of all the ones they released this go around, that's the only one I considered picking up. That's not my team, because a lot of people didn't like the brown. Personally, I don't mind it. My only thing that I would like to see is just a little more yellow, just yellow accents. But I think them even doing this is a great step in the hey, we can probably do this more often direction, which is great, because as much as I like their green, their yellow, and their white, like they had brown for a reason. And
yes.
I think it's going to be so clean. I'm curious to see what helmet they go with, but either way, I think it's going to look amazing, especially with that logo.
The number accents on the numbers, they are yellow, which I think plays super well. And like every single one of these, like the Orange Outlaws that you've been clamoring for forever finally happens. The Brown Redwoods is spectacular. The Water Dogs getting a new blackout uniform is amazing. The Chaos with the red with that Scorpion Indigenous Heritage logo is beautiful. Atlas having the light blue, that powder blue with that logo is mint. And like the Cannons looks great on the Navy. I wasn't truly a fan of theirs being like that white gray last year. It looked fine, but I think it looks so much better and brings out the logo that much more on the Navy blue. And the Archers and Whipsnakes having white, it plays. Like all of these are so clean. This is like one of the across the board, like flawless capsules of jerseys that the PLL have released over the years. And I'm very excited to see them up close. Obviously very excited to see CJ Curse do his thing in a Water Dogs uniform for the first time. Very excited to see Jonathan Donville in an Outlaws jersey. Very excited to see Jules Henningberg in a Cannons uniform. Like there's a lot of like different looks that some of these teams are going to be throwing at us this weekend. And I think this is a pivotal weekend for a number of teams, for California, for Utah, for Carolina, for Boston, for Maryland. Like more than half the league have potentially season-altering games when it's all said and done this weekend. You know, we have Week 9 in Utah, we have Week 10 in Denver, and then we have Boston to close things out. But a lot of these teams could be staring themselves in the mirror after this weekend and being like, where do we go from here? You know, what do we have to do to get back in this playoff hunt? And the fact that it's more than half the league thinking about that is going to make this stretch run of the PLL season this year so much more entertaining. because it's going to be an all-out bloodbath by more than 50% of the league to clinch the playoff spots that will be available to them. And that's what makes sports awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the brown jerseys. I've been asking for a brown jersey for the Redwoods since, I think, the beginning of time. Closest we got were the brown stripes in year one. I think that was 2019 that they had brown stripes. So the brown coming back is amazing. Just a tad more touch of yellow, I agree, on as well. And I think this opens the door for them to use brown more. I would love to see like a white base jersey with brown shorts, brown helmet. I think that could go hard.
Brown helmet.
Or even like a yellow helmet, brown jersey, green shorts. Like there's a lot you could do when you incorporate brown into this colorway. So I was happy to see them go brown, even though it's going to be brown on brown. I think it'll look great. And then this weekend's going to be blockbuster like it always is. I think there's going to be 4 really great games that are, like you said, is going to really open up the playoff race over the next coming weeks.
And you guys can keep up to date with that playoff race, with everything going on in the PLL when you download the PLL app. It is your one-stop shop for everything from press conferences to interviews to articles from all the beat writers to PLL fantasy. And it's a gamified app. You go into the app every single day, you complete tasks, you earn experience points on your profile, which unlocks amazing perks, including discounts in the shop, chances at 1 year free of ESPN plus a whole bunch more. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or you can go to pll.app. And when you go to the redeem code section, type in OTBPOD. That's OTB pod, and you get 500 XP on your account. Again, download the PLL app, go to the redeem code section, type in code OTBPOD, and you'll get a generous 500 XP on your PLL app account. Boys, I think there's one last thing to do here, and we head on over to the pick pond as
feed them duckies.
We feed the ducks and dish out our PLL Fairfield Indigenous Heritage Weekend picks of the week, brought to you by our awesome pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, New Jersey, and Delaware areas. You can also find Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And as always, guys, please drink responsibly. And if you're tailing our picks for whatever reason, please gamble responsibly as well. Boys, we start 6:30 Eastern. New York Atlas, California Redwoods. Deej, say the line.
Roll them, because I'm not going against them. Come on now. I was almost delusional enough to pick against them this week. Would not be in the least bit surprised if Atlas does come out on top of this game, but you'd be crazy if you think I'm not rolling Woods this weekend.
It's the Diggs Tape Bowl.
Facts.
It's the annual Diggs Tape Fandom Bowl brought to you by the PLL. I'm going with the Atlas. They've shown signs of their offense finding ways to be consistent. I pointed this out on Twitter too. I think this is the very first week all season that Jeff T is not on the injury report with that left Achilles tightness. That's a great sign for Jeff. Definitely something to just pay attention to, but I like the way that, Connor Schellenberger's been playing over the past couple of weeks as well. He's really come into his own on a consistent basis, and Trevor's just playing dominant at the stripe. And TD's kind of, been slipping up the past couple of weeks, and we kind of speculated that, playing hurt potentially. So we'll see what happens at that battle there. But I just think the Atlas just have the firepower to go blow for blow and win this game. So I'm going to go with New York.
Yeah, that makes 3 of us, or 2 of us, I guess. I need California to show some signs of life. More so than anything, they just have to play a good second half for me. One thing going for them is, Jeff Teet's been back and forth on good game, bad game points wise. Trend wise, this should be a down week for him, but it's still Jeff Teet, and like you said, their offense has been buzzing. And I trust Entenmann a lot more than I trust Erlin right now, so I'm gonna go with New York as well.
And Jeff Teet returned to the scene of the crime where he broke the single season scoring record. We move to ESPN2, 9 p.m. Eastern time, the rivalry that nobody wants to talk about, but it's a full-blown rivalry. The Utah Archers, the Carolina Chaos. Chaos are favored in this game for the first time all season. They are a favorite to win. Hoots, I'll start with you. A Western Conference showdown. Who do you got coming out on top?
I'm going to take the favorites in this one. And it has less to do with them and more to do with Utah. Just haven't seen enough from them. I feel like every time that I've picked them, they act like they don't know how to play lacrosse, unfortunately. So this is more of a pick for me that's like, prove it. Like, I would rather get this one wrong and have them play a great game than have more faith in a team that, just has struggled. And I do think Jake Nace will be better this week. I don't think he's going to be as good, though, as he'll need to be in order to take this one, especially with the emergence of Justin Inacio and the way that he's been playing. So give me Carolina.
I'm going with Carolina too. I just simply am at a point to where I can't trust the Archers to win a game right now. Their offense is just not clicking in a way that is helping their defense out. And until they start to do that and get a little bit more help in the middle of the field, I can't trust them to win a game.
I don't know offhand what the lowest scoring PLL game of all time is, but there's a good chance that this matchup could end up being the lowest scoring PLL game of all time. The way that the Archers offense has been damn near non-existent, the way that Carolina's offense has been Jekyll and Hyde all year long, for obvious reasons, but the way that both of these teams' defensive units and goalie play has been all year long, I won't be shocked if this is like a 7-6 final score and everyone's like, what the fuck did I just watch? But for the simple fact that I trust Justin Inacio more than I trust Jake Naso right now, I'm going with Carolina, going on a win streak, getting above 500, and Utah will have a very important homecoming weekend ahead of them next week. We move to ABC, the Denver Outlaws, the Boston Cannons, which should have been a throwback weekend matchup. I brought it to the table here. The Boston Battery Boys might call me crazy when they listen to this episode, but I just do not trust the Boston Cannons right now. You're inserting another new piece to this offense with Jules. Will Manny is back this weekend for the first time since week 1. I don't know. There's a lot of just like consistency with this offense, if that makes any sense. I know it doesn't, but until Boston can like full blown prove to me that their defense can help their offense, where Denver's defense has helped their offense, I can't pick Boston. And Zach Tucci has been below average at the stripe. Luke Weirman hasn't been a world beater, but I trust him more than Zach Tucci right now at the stripe, and I trust the Denver short stick unit more than almost any unit in the league. So I'm going with the Outlaws.
This one for me is more about their offense. I trust Denver's offense a little bit more. I trust their defense a little bit more. I pretty much just trust their players a little bit more. They're just playing really good lacrosse right now. They're in that notion of they have given me zero reason to believe that they're going to lose a game this week. So there's no reason for me to pick against them this week. That doesn't mean this applies to next week. This doesn't apply to last week. It just applies to this week. You look at who they're playing this week and how they've been playing coming into this week and the energy they should bring into this game. Denver should come out on top.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Denver as well. I mean, like you guys said, they've just been playing cohesive lacrosse as a team. And Boston hasn't, I will say going for Boston, like Alex Smith out this week, Jack Gray's debuting, Donville's debuting. So, if they can exploit those, maybe they have a better chance. But, yeah, kind of same as my Utah explanation. Like Boston, they just got to bring something to the table. So I'm going to take the Outlaws as well.
And then Saturday Night Lacrosse on ESPN Plus, the Maryland Whip Snakes, the Philadelphia Water Dogs. Deej, I will start with you.
I mean, I'm going Philly here, not just because of the pod, but once again, it comes down to a lack of production. You got TJ Malone, Aiden Carroll, and that's about it. You get a little bit from Levi Anderson here and there. Colin Heacock had a pretty solid game this past weekend. But there's really just a lack of that traditional Whip Snakes offense of hitting singles and hitting a lot of them to keep, games competitive and win games. They're just not scoring enough this year. Regardless of who they put in net, it's not enough to keep them going, even with getting, tons of possessions from John Ardella at the stripe. It's a lot of questions they have to answer, and I don't think they answer them this weekend. So I am going to be rolling on the other side and taking Philly.
Yeah, I'm going Water Dogs. As you guys know, when I'm on this show, I'm completely unbiased. If you want my full-blown fandom, go to Underground Sports Philadelphia. But like we mentioned earlier in the show, like we were wondering, or I was wondering, why was Philly not getting the nod that Denver and New York were getting to being one of the elite teams in the league? And I think they showcased that they are that. Michael Sowers has been an MVP candidate pretty much the entire season since the Water Dogs stepped on the field for the first time in Carolina. Kira McCardle is out there doing Kira McCardle things. Jake Taylor's been awesome as a rookie. And now you insert CJ Kirsten to this offense. Jack Hanna has been awesome out of the midfield. Connor Kelly has a nice little homecoming game this weekend, and he typically performs very well at Rafferty Stadium in Fairfield. And I don't think we're making enough noise about how awesome the young guys on this Water Dogs defense have been. Marcus Hudgens is playing out of position and has taken his game to a whole new level. Kenny Brower has been, I think, above everyone's expectations, because guess what? We're not saying his name at all. That means he's doing a damn good job. Ben Randall is Ben Randall. And I think just the notch in the armor right now is just figuring out the goalie situation and some consistency there. Other than that, everything else for this Water Dogs team has been clicking. The short sticks have been awesome. There's depth there. Alex Stathakis, most improved player so far this season in my eyes. And we got our first look at CJ Kirst going up against a Whip Snakes team that they're going to be desperate. You can't take them lightly if you're the Water Dogs. They're going to be, throwing as many hypothetical punches as possible. But if you're the Water Dogs, you just got to keep playing your style of ball. You beat this team earlier in the year. And again, they're kind of changing up the offense. Rob Pennell is out this week with a team excused absence. Matt Rambo is back in the lineup. We'll see what that does for this team. But overall, I just think pound for pound, unit for unit, the Water Dogs are a class above the Whip Snakes right now. And I got to take the Water Dogs to get the win.
Yeah, I'm going with the same. I don't have much to add. They're just better. Unfortunately for whoever's in net, I'm assuming it's going to be Emmett Carroll again. His offense hasn't performed. I don't have a lot of faith inserting Matt Rambo into this lineup right now after being off for several weeks. So, yeah, I'm taking Philly.
So there you have it. Our PLL Fairfield Indigenous Heritage Weekend picks of the week. Hoots and I are going with New York. Deej has California. We all have Carolina taking down Utah. We're all going with the Outlaws to beat the Boston Cannons. And we all have the Water Dogs to go a little splish-splash action on the Maryland Whip Snakes. And those are your PLL Fairfield picks of the week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer. Fun show, boys. A fun show indeed. Deej and I will be in Fairfield. We'll have Ryan Tessier there with us as well, photographing everything. And then we go on a nice little 2 straight weeks of Hoots photographing for us. Your turn, assholes. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sports Media. Follow DJ SCS_next great. Follow me at KPIZZL311. Be sure to check out our friends at Rita's in Sewell, New Jersey at 288 Egg Harbor Road. Be sure to tell them that OTB sent you. Check out all of their delicious treats to keep you cool this hot summer season. And like we mentioned, July 28th, that gummy bear flavor is coming back out of the vault. You won't want to miss that. Go to ritasIce.com to check out all of their flavors and nutritional facts that will be available to you on their website. And again, visit our friends at 288 Egg Harbor Road in Sewell, New Jersey to say hello to our friends at Rita's in Sewell. And we thank them for being a proud presenting partner of the Outside the Box podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the pod on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia and Outside the Box podcast YouTube channels. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia is where you get full video episodes of this show every single week. It's where you get clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. We are 15 subscribers away from 1,100 subscribers, which means you get a nice little merch unlock happen when we get there. And when we get to 100 subscribers on the OTB YouTube channel, the OTB College Show will commence in 2026 with Hoots and Deej. So leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. And this has been episode number 384, a PLL Fairfield Indigenous Heritage Weekend preview edition of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Hoots, for Deej, I'm KB. We'll see you live from Fairfield, and we'll see you right back here next week, breaking it all down as we get set for Utah, Deej's favorite state in the continental U.S. But until then, enjoy this weekend of PLL action, everybody. Peace.
Peace.